Hello, I'm Mark Perino, and I serve as the president of the American Association for the Treatment of Opioid Dependence. I'm speaking to you at a particularly pivotal time in our country's policymaking in treating substance use disorder, and particularly opioid use disorder. There are cross currents in policy at the present time, and they could have potentially grave effects on the future of treatment in the United States. Some policies make sense and others do not. At the present time, medical societies are working at odds with each other. One medical society is advocating the complete removal of the 8-hour training for DATA 2000 practitioners who primarily use buprenorphine to treat opioid use disorder. Another medical society is challenging Congresswoman Trahane's legislation, which would require all practitioners in the United States to take an 8-hour training in order to prescribe opioids to treat either pain or opioid use disorder. Ultimately, we have a number of policy groups that also think it's a good idea to give doctors the prescriptive authority to write prescriptions for methadone, up to 30-day supplies, and have those prescriptions filled by pharmacy channels. We directly oppose this. We think this is unwise, and this potentially brings us back 20 years ago to when doctors were prescribing methadone to treat pain, and it resulted in significant methadone-related mortality with more than 5,500 methadone-specific deaths per year. These deaths and the reason for these deaths were captured in the 5 national reports from 2003 to 2010. In our opinion, nothing has changed in these past 20 years, regardless of what some of the policymakers think. Many of these policy officials are writing articles, and they have yet to step foot in an OTP, and they simply do not understand how we treat opioid use disorder clinically. I've just returned from Europe, and I was interested to learn, in meeting with their urine providers, that fentanyl is not being used in Europe at all. Unfortunately, Canada and the United States have significant fentanyl use, with 80% of our patients using fentanyl as they're being admitted to treatment. And this causes a great deal of clinical challenge, which is why treatment practitioners need to be trained in treating opioid use disorder. All of these matters are going to be discussed during our approaching conference in Baltimore, Maryland, between October 30th and November 3rd, 2022. Our advocacy has remained steadfast. We advocate to expand access to opioid treatment programs throughout the United States, using mobile vans and bricks and mortar medication units as the spokes to increase access to care in rural and in suburban communities. We advocate for the full array of services as a way to holistically respond to the needs of our patients. We do not support a medication-only method of treating people with such a complex disorder. While it is so that some patients can be admitted without the full array of services, ultimately we need to provide for the care that they need. Finally, this is going to be our 3rd and final donation campaign for the year until we get to the end of the year in 2022. For the time being, thank you very much for your ongoing support. Please feel free to provide comments and questions based on our recent policy support issues and this communication. Thanks again.